I think every one of those who we refer to as angels,
Yes.
who stopped on the road that day, saw that it was a miracle.
Well, I was coming home on Route 17, and as I was driving, I heard a little click in my head, and that was the last thing I ever remembered, was this click. And as the story was told to me through my wife and the people who were there, my car was curving, swerving, and I was crashing off the divider into the lane, and this couple at first said, "Pass this gentleman, I think he's been drinking." And as they passed me, the husband looked over and says, "I think he's trying to get something from his glove compartment." But at that time, I was already out. And when I crashed into the divider, I guess my foot came off the gas and slowed down. As I was slowing down, he slowed down, and he says, "Something's wrong." And he stops and he says to his wife, who was a nurse, said, "There's something wrong. This gentleman is not moving, not getting up." Another car pulls up and this gentleman walks out. And he says, "Is there anything I can do?" He's just 27 years old, health and wellness director for ESPN. And they're trying to break in the window with the umbrella and such. Nothing. A car mysteriously pulls up and they turn, and the gentleman says, "Is there anything I can do for you two? Is everything okay?" He said, "Well, this guy is turning blue. We need to get into the car." And he reached over and he handed them a baseball bat. And as they turned to thank him, he was already gone. They didn't see him again. So they broke the window, got into the car, and the husband of the nurse jumps into the front seat, and he never did CPR in his life. His wife is instructing him from the front of the seat of the car. With that, two Orthodox Jewish boys, 21 and 23, med students, going to their EMTs. They said, "Can we help? What's going on?" He said, "Well, he's not breathing. He's blue. He's been out for about 3 minutes now, 4 minutes." So they reached in and they said, "We got to get him on the ground to do CPR." So they pulled me out of the car, dropped me onto the ground. Now we're going into 5-6 minutes, and they're all doing CPR. The nurse looks up and sees an ambulance coming down the road, thinking it was for me. And then she jumps up and she stops the ambulance. And the ambulance driver says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. I have a patient in the car, in the back of the ambulance. I have to go. It's against New Jersey state law to stop the ambulance." With that, an aid car with the ambulance comes up and stops, and the EMT, he was in training, gets out and says, "What's going on?" She says, "Listen, I don't need you to stay. Just please let me use your defibrillator." And the ambulance driver says, "There's no way I can leave that with you." And God instructed this EMT, who could have lost his job. He says, "I don't care if I get fired, but I am not leaving that man dead on the highway." He took the defibrillator. It was after how many minutes?
It was 8.5 minutes.
8.5 minutes. He put it on me. He turned it up as high as it could go, hit it, and they said I came a foot off the ground, went back down, and as soon as I hit the ground, they said I sat up.
What's amazing to me as his wife and also a nurse is that 8.5, 9 minutes CPR, and there's no neurological deficit, which the emergency room doctor was completely shocked about. And he's doing great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And we take these people that saved my life every year on the anniversary. We take them and their families out to dinner. And we still share stories of the night. And I'm still, my wonder is, and I look to God every day and I says, "God, was that you?"
It was.
Who handed that baseball bat to them to get to me?
I think every one of those who we refer to as angels,
Yes.
who stopped on the road that day, saw that it was a miracle. Some of them are non-believers, and I think has touched their lives in some way or form.
Yep.
And I think it strengthened your belief.
Oh, tremendously.
Yeah.
And it's funny because whenever we have this dinner, we call it our angel dinner. And our granddaughter said to me the other day, "Hey, Papa, when is our angel dinner coming again?" What did we say at the end of how God...
Oh, how grateful we are.
How grateful you are that God has chosen us. And I feel chosen because he has something for me to do. Because I wouldn't be sitting here if he didn't.
But we're pretty aggressive about telling that story.
Yes.
We love
everywhere
telling that
and everywhere.
story. And because God is so good. God is so good.